Howdy, stranger. So you want to find out if this record is big enough for the both of us, eh?
Bad white man calling the devil.
Welcome back to the indie corner of Murdock's Music Minute. In case the intro didn't give away enough, today's album review contains dark Wild West fantasies, grim storytelling, and music inspired by Italian Western movies. For the first time on the channel, but very likely not the last, I get my ears into the adventurous and extremely eclectic discography of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And with this first review, I'll start straight away with The Odd One Out, which says quite a lot in a discography that is generally pretty off the wall. But before we get into our saddles, here's a little overlook into the history of the band up until this album.
Nobody wants to remember exactly where the goofy band name came from nowadays, but what is clear is that King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard were a bunch of 5 good Australian friends. Some knew each other from studying. This wacky collective recorded a few singles and an EP as early as 2010. All very lo-fi, noisy garage punk and raw surf rock. Their full-length album debut, 12 Bar Bruce, from 2012, is in the same style but already hints at the band's love for unconventional recording methods and fun ideas regarding sound. In 2011, prior to the release of 12 Bar Bruce, Ambrose Kenny Smith and Cook Craig joined the band, making King Gizzard a septet. Ambrose's father, Broderick Smith, had been a musician himself with Australian country rock band The Dingoes, and also a part-time actor and a storyteller. His love for grim Italian westerns was shared by Stuart Stu Mackenzie, who then was sort of the main mastermind behind King Gizzard, and, after already having collaborated on a track on the band's debut album, the idea was born to embark on a bigger, full-length Western epic project.
Well, and that's what came out of it. King Gizzard's Eyes Like the Sky. This is my vinyl edition, repressing from 2018, appeared on the Flightless Records label, which is an Australian independent label, and I think to this day the household label of King Gizzard, but also a few other quite interesting and critically acclaimed Australian bands. Wonderful artwork again. I think the artwork is also done by one of the band members. Not sure. No, it's not. It says the artwork is done by some Jason Galia or Galia. I think it's not a band member. What is very special about this vinyl edition is that it comes on this fantastic bright orange vinyl. And what is also quite unusual, and also one of those typical, you might even call it King Gizzard gimmicks, is that you have to play this album at a speed of 45 RPM, which is something I totally forgot when I shot the intro, where you can see the record spinning for a few seconds. This is quite unusual, of course, for a full-length album. 45, as all vinyl fans know, is the speed usually only used for small 7-inch records or vinyl singles. The liner notes also tell a little bit of how this album came into being, basically what I very briefly mentioned in the slide section before. Written by Stu Mackenzie, who is quite bemused that people would want to listen to this. As he claims himself, this was very much impromptu, very lo-fi, and, written on the spot. So let's find out whether this album works or not. We are transported to the year 1845, somewhere in the desert of the Wild West, probably somewhere between California and Mexico. A group of apaches are observing a farmhouse. They are fighting the white settlers and the Mexicans. It's not just the defense of their territory, though. They are also after guns and young children to kidnap and raise as their own. And that's exactly what happens. There is a bloody raid. The amps crack like gunshots or lightning, the drums gallop, the guitars evoke the sound of cheap Italian westerns, full of cynicism and violence, but also the twang of early 60s surf instrumentals. The 5-year-old Miguel O'Brien, who has got bright blue eyes, is abducted in the slaughter and hence grows up an Apache with eyes like the sky. His growing up and getting accustomed to the traditions and the ways of the tribe is accompanied by distorted harmonica, repetitive, urgent drumming, and chaotic sounds. We jump to the year 1864 with the next track. Eyes Like the Sky is 15 years old now and a fully integrated, full-grown Apache now, but there's danger on the horizon. A missionary man arrives, accompanied by a steady, plodding beat and a triumphant guitar line, but this man of God comes not only with soldiers, but also lusty intentions to rape the Apaches and kill them. They are seen as uncivilized murderers and bandits by the white Americans. Miguel is captured and has to return to his people, but sees this as a further kidnapping and the loss of his true family, the tribe. So he seeks bloody revenge before he disappears with guns and horses. Well, without spoiling the whole story, this is all told in slightly psychedelic and bluesy tracks, as well as more Ennio Morricone pastiche on side 2.
White men would be calling for their mothers and their God by evening. but the young man would be drunk on tiswin and full of deer meat, and satisfied by their agony.
Eyes Like the Sky is an unusual concept album, as it is a full story told or narrated with music providing the background scenery. As such, this is actually more a kind of audio book with a cool lo-fi garage rock band providing psychedelic country rock as the music to go with the story. It's truly unique. It's a one-off project, even for King Gizzard, who often have a very experimental career. Bearing in mind that this was the band's second album, only their second album, this was a really bold release. It clearly showed that the conceptual idea, the fun of a concept, would be the band's priority from here on over expectations or commercial considerations. And it also was a clear sign that there was a band that enjoyed the freedom of self-promotion and label independence. And the creative spark of this band has grown higher and higher over the years. Eyes Like the Sky came out in 2013. Happy 10th anniversary, by the way. And quickly gained a cult status in the fan base of early King Giz. There has even always been hope for a part 2 one day, but unfortunately, Broderick Smith passed away in April 2023. Until 2018, the album was not widely available, and I think not available at all in the common streaming services. As mentioned, my copy is a new edition from 2018. Original pressings allegedly go for ridiculously expensive prices. The first King Gizzard I heard was the band in their through and through heavy psych rock phase with I'm in Your Mind Fuss and Nonagon Infinity. So that's where I came from to this album. So this was pretty unexpected. I knew there would be narration, but I was not prepared for narration only with instrumental music. So this took some getting used to, and to be honest, on hearing this first, the album even was a little bit of a disappointment. But I've grown to see the quality and the enjoyment of this project. It's a gritty cinematic experience, and in addition to that, the story, if you like brutal westerns, is really captivating and also rooted in a little bit of historic research. So overall, the atmosphere that this album is about works really well for me. And if I'm in the mood for some blood in the American desert, this album is really actually quite impressive. Musically, side A is a little bit more interesting, but of course, like a book or a movie, Eyes Like the Sky has to be listened to as a whole. The band itself went on to produce more adventurous and complex material over the years, but Eyes Like the Sky remains unique. The band established themselves with this album as endearing outlaws of rock early in their career, and they have surprised and excited their audience ever since with an output that is incredible, both in terms of quantity as well as quality. This album certainly is not one that you will listen to on a weekly or even a monthly basis, but it remains an essential little piece in the huge puzzle of the Gizzverse and the development of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. So long. Thanks for bearing with me. And see you again for another Murdock Music Minute.